And just so you're aware, I have my recording set the same way I do for my students, so it's not going to be recording your faces. So feel free to show those on screen. You know, I can't see my kids ever. It's nice to see some of you guys. All right. So like I said, this is the Google Classroom quick chat, and then I'll do another session in about 15 minutes for Canvas so that you're not wasting your time paying attention to one when you don't really need it. So, all right, I wish that would go away. So I'm going to get started, and the first thing that I'm going to do is share this presentation with you here. So if you want to go back and view it later, you can. So that's in the chat. And then I'm also going to email this out with a copy of the video for this as well. Got a couple more people dropping in. Wow, great turnout. All right, so like I said, this is a short chat. I don't want to waste your time with you know, a lot of other stuff. But if you have questions, just like I do with my students, unmute your mic and feel free to ask, or type them in the chat and I'll respond to them there. And then if we come to the end and there's still more you want to discuss, send me an email or message me in Teams, and I'd be happy to, you know, send more information your way there. So thank you all for showing up on this beautiful Wednesday morning still. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with this, and then you, like I said, just chime in if you have questions. This is a quick kind of overview with more details provided in the presentations. So we're just going to talk about the basics of giving feedback for students, effective feedback without wearing you out, because, you know, teaching English for 20 plus years, that's a lot of grading papers, and that takes time. And I know you guys all in your areas have those assignments that are just a struggle to get through all of the feedback, but still provide meaningful feedback for the students. So Google Classroom offers us some features that that make this a little easier for you. So the first thing, yeah, a little bit. Nate and I started in roughly the same year. So, all right. So the adding comments. So Google Classroom allows you to add comments, and most of you guys are aware of this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but this goes through how you can do that. But the key thing that we need to remember with Google Classroom, and most of us have learned this the hard way, is just like when we're writing on students' papers, if we don't give it back to the kids, they're never going to know what we wrote. And Classroom requires that you do that as well. So you got to hit that return button on the assignments. Now you can return all in the assignment once you've graded all of them, or you can return them individually, but you've got to hit that return button to make sure the students get that feedback. And Classroom allows you to just a general comment on the assignment. And so this video kind of walks you through that. We're not going to sit and watch the video here because most of you probably already know how to do this. And again, I don't want to waste your time on that. And it's going to do that anyway. So let's move on to the next slide. Really, when we get into the more advanced features with comments, we're going to be looking at using the comment bank. And just thumbs up, thumbs down. How many of you have used comment banks before in Classroom? Okay, I see a few thumbs downs. That's good. You're going to learn something new. Those of you who have, feel free to chime in with any tips on this. But I know when I was handwriting writing, you must use complete sentences 30 times for a class gets monotonous. I can type that one time and store that in the comment bank. And then when I'm going into an assignment and grading it, all I have to do is start typing the word sentence, and any comments that I have stored that have the word sentence in them are going to pop up. So I'm going to jump out of this for a second and just show you how that looks in a student assignment. Now, this was one of my students, she earned full points. This was one of her assignments. If I was to comment right here, I would highlight, so this is in the grader in Classroom, and I add a comment, and then I can write, let's say she had a comma error. I type in comma correctly, and any of my previous comments pop up. Okay, so that allows me to, she's going to see that I did that, and it was from last year. So that's weird. All right, so how I do that is I type it the first time. And then I enter that comment. And now I can add it to the comment bank. And once I've added that to the comment bank, the next time I type in comma, that option is going to show up there. Another way to do that is to go to the comment bank over here and add comments. And as you see, over time, I get quite a few of those. Now, a little side tip there is for intros and conclusions for this example. I also copied and pasted the links to my documents that show them how to use those. So when that appears in the comments, it's actually a clickable link. So I can say, hey, review introductions and conclusions, and they can click both of those documents to see those. So we'll go, I can go through this more in detail. Does this work the same for the private comment section, or do you have to be in the document? So it doesn't appear in the private comment. Derica, go ahead with your question. So this is just for, this is just for the individual comments on the document.
So thank you, Ron, for this session, because I've started using it quite a bit now with AP. What I'm finding is in my comment bank, like if I pull up one comment, they're all like coming up. And actually in this, I'm sorry, everyone, it might be peculiar just to me. For some reason, I have different comments in the comment bank, but I have to go with the very first comment, and then it will, like, it starts with you, like you hit all the right points or something. And then I have various correction comments. They're all separated, but I have to start, if I'm going to pull up my bank, I have to go you for all of them, and then I just go down and select. Does that make sense?
Yes, but
what have I done wrong?
You can search any word within that comment. So, so like I said, if I type in comma, I just know I have a lot of them. This is my comment for the Oxford comma, but this is missing a comma, and delete the space before that. So anything that has that word in it, if I start typing, if I just start, like, if I want to start, don't forget, and I don't know if I have any comments, I don't. Yeah, that's not helping either. So it's going to search any of those comments within. Okay. Or any of the keywords within. So you just pick a keyword that relates to the topic and it'll pop up. And I've just gotten to the point where I remember which ones I use most often, and I just remember the best keyword to search. So yes, so that's the comments, and Mariana's going to wonder what I'm doing in her assignment from last year. Let's see, let's get back to that. Okay. And then because we are running on a short time frame, I am going to jump to not that video. Oh wait, is that the one? It's not. Okay. And then we have rubrics. How many of you use rubrics? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, I'm seeing a couple of thumbs downs. If you haven't used rubrics, this is another speed grading tip that's going to help you quite a bit to get through more extensive grading. And so again, if I pull up this assignment for my student, I've built a rubric here, and that allows me to assign points for each section or question on my assignment. So if they got full points on on this pre-reading part, I can just click that and it starts to tally the points. And then I click for the vocab, they got full points on that. Maybe they didn't do as well, so I can give them a few. So I base it on the number of points. You see that pop up that comes up that tells how many points? When I'm building my rubric, I can give even more feedback within that. So building the rubric doesn't take a lot of time, but it does take some upfront time. But then you can reuse the rubric from class to class, year to year. So if you do it once, you're going to be able to go through your grading so much faster. And so then instead of me making individual comments on each part, I can just scroll down and click through and make sure they got the points they earned for each one. And the comments take care of themselves by the feedback that pops up in that little pop-up. And the student will be able to see that as well. I'm a huge fan of these rubrics. I love using these rubrics on a tablet because then I can read the assignment and I can just tap on each one of these little buttons for the rubric. And so it's grading by hand, just nice and quick, scroll down, tap those options. So to set up those rubrics, again, it takes a little bit of time, but once you've done the first one, it's fairly easy. And if you do similar rubrics, you can copy one to another assignment and modify it and reuse it. So you don't have to start from scratch each time. But I use similar rubrics for all of my essays, so that makes it nice and easy that I can just go through and reuse those. And I'm sure for some of your performance classes, you probably use a similar rubric for those performances and can grade them that way as well. And then let's see, the big key though is none of this matters if the students don't know how to check it. And I teach honors freshmen, and I've got to remind them every single assignment, this is how you check my comments. If you don't, you're not gonna improve. And so I have a video here that kind of guides them through, and I link this video to the assignment itself. So when and then several times throughout, I just post it. Hey, I just graded your essays. Watch this video and then view your feedback. All right, 15 minutes is not enough time. And as you guys have probably learned, I can talk a lot. I do want to hear back from you. So if you have questions or need some more insight on any of this, please let me know. I'm going to paste that presentation one more time so you can view it. And you can view that right away, but I'll be emailing this out along with the video for this whole lesson to you guys shortly, as soon as it processes through WebEx. Can I answer any questions, or anybody have any other suggestions for grading as we are wrapping up? Nice and easy breakout meeting? Yes? Okay. All right. Well, you guys are free to go from this one unless you want to learn more about Canvas, and I'll be jumping into that right away. I'm waiting to let Mr. Latham in. I'm going to let him see that you guys were all here, so you can wave as he's jumping in. And thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. Please reach out to me if I can help at any time. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks, Ron. This is Carl. If I want to see some of the videos, how do I go about doing that?
click the link on the presentation that I showed you, and it'll walk, each one of those videos are clickable links.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Please reach out if you have any questions.
Okay.
All right, we are just about to start the Canvas breakout. And so I am session here. So I stopped the recording after the classroom one. I'm going to start the recording for this one. I have the recording set the same way I do for my students. So your faces aren't going to show up in the video. But I do appreciate you guys having your cameras on because I see gray boxes all day long. It's nice to see faces. I know some of you guys feel the same way. All right, so recording is starting, and I'm going to give people a moment to get in here, and then we're going to jump into our quick chat on grading and feedback in Canvas so that you can quickly get through those huge metaphorical stacks now of papers. And so I'm going to just go ahead and get started. And anyone who jumps in, I'll try to get them in here as soon as I notice them popping in. I'm sharing on the screen right now the link to this presentation. Your portion, the Canvas portion, comes about halfway through. So you can scroll down to that. But I put both the classroom and Canvas in the same presentation just for ease and saving time on this. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with feedback in Canvas. And I will tell you that some of you were in the classroom feedback session. I don't use Classroom anymore because I have fallen in love with Canvas. I don't know about you guys, but I've just found it so much easier and more versatile. I love it. And so I've moved completely away from Classroom. All right, so I'm just going to jump into this and start with the speed grader. And the speed grader is how you grade assignments in Canvas. So thumbs up, thumbs down. How many of you have are familiar with that concept of the speed grader? Okay. So if you haven't used the speed grader, it's really how you grade in Canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and drop out of here for a second and just point out what the speed grader is. And so let's see, I'm going to open up my Canvas, let's say my period 1, and I choose an assignment. I'm just going to go to this bell work assignment. And when I want to start grading, I just click on Speed Grader. And what Speed Grader does is it allows me to see the student's assignment and enter in a grade. And then click to the next student and see their assignment and enter the grade. So what I see here is I see the student's bell work response and I can type in the grade. That's the basic function of Speed Grader. All right. But there's so much more that we can do than just look at the assignment and enter grades. Okay. We can add comments. That's the next step up, but it's still pretty a pretty basic basic grading system. It's just me putting a general comment on the whole thing. I can also create rubrics like I have done in Classroom. Some of you know how to do that in Classroom. And these rubrics allow me to grade more specifically by item, if I would like. I can build rubrics, I can save rubrics, I can reuse rubrics, I can copy rubrics from one class to another, from one teacher to another. A team can create rubrics. All of these are going to help you. Now, there's a video that's going to walk you through those steps that you could watch later. This is a great walkthrough. I also chose this one because the person who created it has a wonderful Southern accent that I just love. So, but it goes step by step through doing it. So I do recommend viewing that. But I'm going to show you what that looks like in a speed grader if a student turns in an assignment. So this is a sample assignment because in Canvas, I'm allowed to turn in things as a test student. And so that's what I've done here. And so this this document doesn't match the assignment. It's just there as an example. But I've created a rubric that grades on these categories: format, voice, content, usage, and mechanics. And then in this little link, I can give a longer description for each one of these. I didn't do that for this particular one, but that would pop up there. And then I can give them points based on the level of their success in that area. So then I can read through a document, and if I wanted to, I could just click. And as I was saying with the last group, I can just click here on each one of those, and it's going to tally up the number of points. And then all I have to do is click save, and it puts that total in the gradebook. So there I don't have to write any comments at all. If my rubric is pretty detailed, this may save me from doing any typed out comments at all. But sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes I need to actually mark up the paper. And so I'm going to show you what you can do with that as well. What I've taken to doing for my rubrics is I've also taken to writing a color, the name of a color, on each section on the rubric, so that when I'm making notations, I can match those up to the color so the kids can see. But we'll talk about that in a moment. Building rubrics is going to save you a great deal of time. All right. And there's a little tip here as you're building one. Don't forget to click the use this rubric for assignment grading box. I've made this mistake a bunch of times. You can always go back and fix it, but I still can't figure out why you wouldn't. So why that's necessary to click that check. You're going to use, if you're going to make a rubric, you're going to be using it for grading. All right. So questions about rubrics before we move on? No? Okay, if you have them, feel free to mention them in the chat. Canned comments. This is one thing that Classroom has over Canvas, is they don't have built-in canned comments. So, good point, Alyssa, for not using it for grading, just for that baseline so they can see how they would be. I like that. So I don't have a way to easily reuse comments within Canvas. So what I've done is I've created my own color-coded comment bank for the assignment. And I just copy and paste these onto the students. So I end up having to open up another tab or another window and copy and paste those reusable comments back and forth. It takes a little time. But as I'm grading, I just add more cells to each one of these tables. And then as I notice that something is reoccurring. Notice again, I color coded those. That way, anything that I mark in green on their paper is going to match with the rubric that's color coded as well. And here's an example of, I have an example of my rubric. This is my overall rubric that I share with my students. And then I have a version of this embedded into Canvas as well. So they see these things exactly, or they get the same information in more than one place. Here's a video that's going to walk you through how to do that as well, to do those canned comments. And then we have like the overall tutorial for working with the gradebook and the rubrics. Oh, sorry, the color coding. That's what I was going to show you guys how to do. There's a video that will walk you through the color coding, but I'm not sure if everyone has seen the options that you have with grading. I love this little pointer tool. So if a student made a mistake, let's say they should have used the semicolon. It's not the error here, but if they should have. I click that there, and then I can just type my comment. Well, if I have my grading comments here, I can go to, well, let's say it was a run-on sentence. I just copy that, and I paste it right where that is there. And then that's since it's let's say it was a run-on sentence. Since that's a run-on sentence, that's going to be in my conventions, which I have as red. So I changed the color to red. That little pointer tool, that's my number one, the one that I use the most. The next one that I use is the highlighting tool. If they did something incorrectly, I highlight, and again, I can change the color to whatever color works, right? If they type something they shouldn't have, like they could get rid of it, I can cross it out with the strike through. I can type directly on the paper, and I can change the colors of that, the font as well. And then there's this one, which I don't recommend using with the mouse because it's very difficult. But if you have a touch screen or a tablet, that makes, you can actually hand grade on a digital paper. Oh, I still got a little time. And so these tools, trying to think, oh, and then I can also box something out. I like this one when my students are doing something that's more of a visual. So they've written, or they've taken a picture of something that they've worked on, whether it's, you know, a project or something, then I can box out a section of that. Or maybe this whole paragraph they just need to throw away, so I can do that and say, and type the little comment. So we have quite a few tools there. But I really do recommend matching up the color codes so that the kids know exactly which area matches with the rubric. So for example, how I would change this if I was color coding it, instead of the title, I would have format, and then I might say with a hyphen, green notations. So that becomes the title of that section of the rubric. So anything in green they know goes there. It saves me quite a bit of time from, you know, typing up those notes to the students for each one of them. All right. Does anyone else hate this little bar that drops down right in front of your tabs? All right. So.
Ron, is there a way to get rid of that?
No.
Okay.
If there was, I would be doing it because I hate that thing. Can't move it. Can't get rid of it.
Well, now I'm disappointed. I figured Ron would know how. Now I'm okay. All right.
Yeah, I know. I let you down. All right. So just like with Classroom on the on feedback, the kids aren't going to be able, they aren't going to check it if they don't know how. And Canvas is a little more complicated than even in Classroom. They have to click View Rubric or Show Rubric. Otherwise, they're not going to see your rubric grades. And they have to click View Feedback to see any of the notations that you've made. If they don't, they're just going to see their paper, their blank paper, just as they submitted it. I had a student who we worked, and he resubmitted like 8 times last semester. And each time I kept saying, make sure you view the feedback and comments I made on your paper. And finally he said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I had done plenty, I thought, for him to get that feedback. But he hadn't been paying attention to the fact that I posted this video multiple times in my class saying, this is how you view feedback. He wasn't seeing it. So what I've taken to doing this semester is I've been copying and pasting this in the comments, in the private comments, the assignment comments for every one of their papers after I've graded an essay or a bigger project. So because the assignment comments goes out in an email to them. The individual comments on the document itself, the grading comments, doesn't. So if I send this out in an email, just by putting it in the assignment comments and it pops up in their email, they're more likely to go to the right places to view their feedback. So I'm going to show you what that looks like for a student by going back to here and looking at this from a student view. So you guys know that the little glasses are the student view. If not, let me know. I can walk you through that process as well. And so I'm going to go to my grades. And I've had a lot of assignments in this class so far, but this was one of the first ones. So I'm going to go to that functional writing assignment. I'm going to click on that. So if I click on the assignment, all I'm going to get is a document, a PDF of the original. But if I want to see how I did on the rubric, I never submitted that rubric, but that's how I'm going to view that. And then if I want to, and that rubric pops up in the way of the view feedback, that's going to show me the notations that I made. The kids need to click view feedback or they're not going to see it. And some kids, we know, you're going to have to tell them a dozen times, and then you're going to have to walk them through it personally. Quick little feedback note also, to add the comments, you can also add voice comments. And for some of us, that works so much faster, and it's a more personalized version, and the kids can use voice comments back. And when, not just voice, if I wanted to, I could record a video as well. So great ways to give feedback to students that way. All right, let's see, where are we at? So that takes me past time. I apologize. It is 12:02, but that's me talking to myself here. Stop it. Okay. So is there a quick way to see if students sent a comment back? Yes. If they send a comment in assignment comments, it'll go right to your email. If you have the notification set. So how you do that is, I'm going to exit out of this. For those of you who, if you are good, if you have questions and want to reach me later, you can. But I'm going to stick around for a few minutes and answer some more questions if you've got them. So feel free to stay. I am going to stop the recording though, because I did promise these would be 15-minute sessions and I already went over.